Before you eat another healthy vegetable tonight, listen carefully, because after 60, the problem is not always junk food. Sometimes the danger hides inside the foods you trust most. One vegetable in your kitchen may quietly raise your stroke risk overnight. No warning, no pain. You go to bed feeling fine, but by morning your speech may slur, your balance may disappear, or one side of your body may stop responding. From a brain health perspective, after years of studying stroke patterns in older adults, I have seen seniors fall victim not to bad habits, but to foods they believed were protecting them. Vegetables. Yes, vegetables. What changed? Your body did. Aging slows your kidneys. It stiffens your arteries. It changes how your blood handles sodium, sugar, minerals, hydration, and medication. And when that delicate balance breaks, clots can form silently, sometimes while you sleep. In this video from Senior Meal Coach, I will expose 7 everyday vegetables that can quietly harm your brain, disrupt circulation, and threaten your independence if you do not know how to use them wisely. This is not about fearing vegetables. This is about knowing the new rules after 60. Stay with me until the end, because one simple mistake at dinner may become tomorrow morning's emergency. 1. Spinach, the hidden vitamin K trap. If you are over 60, there is a good chance you have been told that spinach is one of the healthiest foods on earth. You have heard it since childhood. Eat your greens. They keep your heart strong. It sounds innocent, even wise. But what if this green superfood, the one that is supposed to protect your brain and heart, could actually trigger a stroke overnight? I know that sounds impossible. But from a brain health perspective, I have seen it happen more times than I care to remember. Spinach is packed with vitamin K. Vitamin K is a powerful nutrient that helps your blood clot properly. When you are young and your body is in perfect balance, that is a good thing. But as we age, especially once we cross 60, things change quietly inside us. Our livers process medication more slowly, our blood vessels grow stiffer and more fragile, and many of us are prescribed blood thinners, drugs like warfarin or Coumadin. These medications help keep clots from forming. That is where the danger begins. Vitamin K directly counteracts the effect of these medications. So if you eat large amounts of spinach, maybe a big salad, a smoothie, or sautéed greens with dinner, your medication suddenly cannot do its job. Your blood begins to thicken again, circulation slows, and small clots start to form silently, like tiny grains of sand gathering in a stream. You do not feel it, you do not see it, but it is happening. And then sometimes overnight, one of those clots finds its way to the brain. That is when everything changes. Your speech slurs, your vision blurs. One side of your body stops responding. A stroke has struck quietly, cruelly, without a single warning. I will never forget Mr. Allen. He was a 74-year-old retired engineer from Wisconsin, a gentleman with sharp wit and kind eyes. He took his medication faithfully every evening, and he started his mornings with a green smoothie packed with spinach, kale, and avocado. He did it because he wanted to live longer. He wanted to stay strong for his grandchildren. For months he felt fine. Then one morning his wife found him on the kitchen floor. His right side was paralyzed. His mouth was trying to form words that would not come. The scan showed a blood clot lodged in his left middle cerebral artery, the kind of stroke that steals speech and movement in an instant. His blood work revealed dangerously high clotting levels. The cause was not bad medicine. It was too much vitamin K from the healthy greens he thought were saving his life. That is what makes this so frightening. It is not junk food. It is not bad habits. It is something you thought was good for you. Something you have eaten for decades without a second thought. But after 60, even healthy foods can turn risky if you do not understand how they interact with your aging body and your prescriptions. So if you take blood thinners, talk to your doctor. Keep your intake of leafy greens consistent. Do not skip them for a week and then binge on spinach salad the next. Never drink large spinach smoothies without checking your INR levels. Because while your heart needs balance, your brain needs stability. And too much vitamin K at once can quietly tip that balance. It can form clots that no one sees coming. You might be thinking, if spinach can do that, what about other so-called healthy vegetables? That is exactly where things get even more concerning, because the next one on the list does not thicken your blood. It can drop your pressure so low overnight that your brain simply cannot keep up. Let's talk about that next. 2. Beets, the blood pressure roller coaster. If you are over 60, chances are you have been told that beets are good for your heart. You may have heard that they open up your blood vessels and improve circulation. You might even drink beet juice every morning. You may believe it is a natural way to lower your blood pressure and keep your brain sharp. But here is the truth. Very few people ever say this out loud. For seniors, especially those already on blood pressure medication, beets can quietly push your body into a dangerous imbalance, one that can trigger strokes and form deadly blood clots while you sleep. You see, beets are rich in nitrates. These are natural compounds that convert into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide helps your blood vessels relax. It also helps your pressure drop. That is wonderful for a younger body that can quickly adjust. But in the aging body, the balance between blood flow and blood pressure becomes fragile. Your arteries stiffen with time. Your heart does not pump quite as forcefully. And your brain, the hungriest organ in your body, depends on a steady stream of oxygen-rich blood to survive. When that stream slows down too much, even for a few minutes, brain cells begin to die. Now imagine this. You have taken your blood pressure medication at dinner. Later, you enjoy a glass of beet juice for your circulation. It seems harmless, even responsible, but together the drug and the beet's natural nitrates may push your pressure far below what your body needs. Your brain still needs steady blood flow. While you sleep, your pressure drops even more. Your blood moves sluggishly through narrow vessels, and in that slowed, low-flow environment, blood begins to pool. It thickens. That is when it happens. It forms clots, tiny ones at first. Silent, invisible, but when one of them travels to the brain, the result can be catastrophic. That is exactly what happened to Mrs. Jenkins. She was a 79-year-old retired teacher from Arizona. She prided herself on her natural lifestyle. No soda, no fast food, only whole grains and vegetables. Every night she drank beet juice to keep her blood pressure down. Then one morning she tried to get out of bed and collapsed. Her vision spun, her words slurred. At the hospital, her pressure was dangerously low. The scan showed a small but devastating ischemic stroke in her cerebellum. That is the part of the brain that controls balance. The clot had formed during the night. Her blood pressure had dipped too far for too long. This is what I wish more seniors understood. Not all heart-healthy foods are brain-safe. When you combine foods that dilate vessels with medications that do the same, your circulation can slow so much that the blood itself becomes a risk. And once your brain's oxygen supply falters, the clock starts ticking. Neurons begin to die in minutes. Beets are not evil, but for older adults, timing and moderation are everything. If you love them, eat small portions earlier in the day. That is when your blood pressure is naturally higher. Never pair them with your medication. Do not drink beet juice at night, and always tell your doctor if you are adding them to your diet. The same food that strengthens one person's heart can quietly steal another person's mind. Because when your pressure falls too low, your brain does not rest. It gasps, it struggles, and in that silent struggle, clots are born. Now, if you thought beets were the only vegetable that can betray you, wait until you hear about the next one. It is a crisp, watery snack you have probably been told keeps you hydrated. But for seniors, it might actually dry out your brain and thicken your blood overnight. 3. Celery, the silent dehydrator. For decades, celery has been praised as the perfect diet food. Crisp, refreshing, light, and full of water. You have probably seen it in every senior health magazine. It is labeled as a guilt-free snack, one that keeps you hydrated and supports heart health. But after years of studying stroke patterns in older adults, I can tell you this. For many older adults, that innocent-looking stalk can quietly create the exact conditions that trigger strokes. It can also help form deadly blood clots. Often while you sleep, celery acts as a natural diuretic. It makes your kidneys release water and sodium more quickly. That sounds good at first. It reduces bloating, it lowers blood pressure. But if you are over 60, your body no longer regulates fluids the way it once did. Your blood vessels have stiffened, your kidneys filter more slowly, and your brain depends on steady hydration to keep blood flowing freely. The problem is simple. When you lose too much fluid, your blood becomes thicker, more like syrup than water. That is when the danger begins. Now imagine this. You have taken your evening dose of a diuretic or blood pressure medication. You have eaten a few celery sticks as a late-night snack. Then you head to bed feeling healthy. During the night, your body keeps releasing fluid, but you are not awake to drink water. As you sleep, your blood volume quietly drops. Your circulation slows, and your brain receives less oxygen. In this thickened, slow-moving blood clots begin to form. Tiny ones at first, often in the small vessels that feed the brain's most sensitive areas. By morning, the results can be devastating. You might wake up dizzy, your balance may be gone, your words may be tangled, or you might not wake up at all. I once cared for a patient named Mr. Raymond. He was 82, a retired carpenter from Florida. Every night before bed, he ate celery sticks with peanut butter. That was his healthy snack. He also took a mild diuretic for high blood pressure. One morning, his wife found him slumped in his recliner. He could not move his left arm. The scan revealed a small but life-changing ischemic stroke. His blood was thick, his sodium was low, his body was severely dehydrated. The perfect storm had been building for weeks. He just did not know it. This is why dehydration is one of the most underestimated stroke triggers in older adults. It does not take a hot summer day. It does not take physical exertion. It can happen silently through something as simple as too much celery combined with age and medication. When your blood thickens, it does not flow freely. It lingers in clumps. That is when clots form. Small, silent, lethal. Celery is not bad. Not at all, but it must be respected. If you enjoy it, eat it earlier in the day. Balance it with water and electrolytes. Never eat large amounts of celery late at night, especially if you are on diuretics or blood pressure medications. And if you wake up often to urinate or feel dizzy in the mornings, that is your body whispering that it is losing too much fluid. Do not ignore that signal. It is your brain's quiet cry for help. Because at your age, even something as pure as water can turn into a threat when your body's balance shifts. And if you think celery is the only healthy vegetable with a dark side, wait until you hear about the next one. It is a leafy green so trendy that it is called a superfood, yet it can quietly shut down your thyroid, it can slow your brain, and it can open the door to stroke without a single symptom. 4. Kale, the hidden thyroid suppressor. The crown jewel of modern health food. You see it in every grocery store, every smoothie bar, every anti-aging cookbook. It is marketed as a miracle vegetable, loaded with vitamins, fiber, and antioxidants. It promises to keep you young and protect your heart. But what if I told you that for many people over 60, this so-called superfood could quietly disrupt your body's delicate balance? What if it could slow your brain and even trigger strokes by creating the perfect conditions for blood clots to form? The truth is, kale is not dangerous by nature. It is dangerous by ignorance. The older we get, the more fragile our internal systems become. Our metabolism slows, our organs work harder, and our hormone balance becomes easier to disturb. Kale contains natural compounds called goitrogens. These compounds interfere with how your thyroid uses iodine. When the thyroid slows down even slightly, your metabolism weakens, your cholesterol rises, and your circulation changes. Over time, your blood thickens, your arteries stiffen, and oxygen delivery to your brain becomes unstable. I have seen it countless times. Older adults believe they are eating for longevity. In reality, they are slowly setting the stage for vascular trouble. One of my patients, Mrs. Clara Hughes, 76, from Oregon, was one of them. She started every morning with a raw kale smoothie, spinach, kale, almond milk, and a scoop of protein powder. It is what all the health blogs say to do, she told me proudly. For months she felt energetic, but then came the fatigue, the foggy thinking, the weight gain. She brushed it off as aging, until one afternoon she stumbled in her garden. Her right hand suddenly became weak and uncoordinated. At the hospital, her thyroid hormone levels were alarmingly low. Her cholesterol was dangerously high, and imaging revealed a small ischemic stroke. The clot had formed in one of her carotid branches, a tiny blockage in the vessel that feeds oxygen to the brain. The underlying cause was a combination of thyroid suppression from years of raw kale smoothies and blood thickening from slowed metabolism. It did not happen overnight, but when the body's balance finally tipped, it happened fast, and it changed her life forever. This is what I wish more seniors understood. Healthy is not the same as harmless. Your body at 70 is not your body at 40. The foods that once fueled you can now interfere with your hormones, your medications, and your blood flow in unpredictable ways. When your thyroid slows, your blood no longer moves like it should. It becomes heavier, slower, more likely to clot, and those clots, invisible and silent, can strike without warning. If you enjoy kale, do not give it up completely. Just be wise. Cook it lightly to reduce the goitrogen effect. Avoid daily raw smoothies. Get your thyroid checked regularly, especially if you feel sluggish, cold, or foggy, because the older you get, the smaller your margin for imbalance becomes. And sometimes even a superfood can become a silent threat. Kale may be green and vibrant, but when it quietly interferes with your thyroid, it sets off a chain reaction: slow blood, rising cholesterol, sticky arteries, and ultimately the kind of clot that steals speech or memory in a single night. And if you think kale is the worst hidden danger in your kitchen, you might be shocked to learn that the next vegetable is something as ordinary as the canned corn or green beans sitting in your pantry. It can raise your blood pressure, it can stiffen your arteries, and it can lay the groundwork for a stroke before you even taste the salt. 5. Canned vegetables. The sodium bomb. For many older Americans, canned vegetables are a symbol of comfort and simplicity. They remind you of easy meals, childhood dinners, and that familiar stocked pantry feeling of security. After all, vegetables are healthy, right? But what most seniors do not realize is that inside those bright labels and friendly slogans lies one of the most silent and overlooked dangers to the aging brain and heart. The kind of danger that does not make noise or cause pain, until it does. The truth is, many canned vegetables are loaded with sodium preservatives and hidden chemicals. These quietly raise blood pressure, they strain the arteries, and in time they can trigger strokes and form deadly blood clots. Here is how it happens. As we age, our blood vessels lose flexibility. The once supple walls of the arteries designed to expand and contract begin to stiffen like old rubber. At the same time, the kidneys, which used to effortlessly filter excess salt, become less efficient. So when an older adult eats a can of green beans corn or soup that contains 700 to 900 milligrams of sodium per serving, the salt does not just flush out, it stays. It builds up, and that extra sodium pulls water into the bloodstream. It thickens the blood. It puts immense pressure on the vessel walls. Over time, this combination of thick blood and stressed arteries sets off a chain reaction inside your body. Tiny cracks form along the vessel lining. the body rushes to repair them, and in the process, clots begin to form. You do not feel the damage, you do not sense it happening. But inside your brain, your arteries are fighting a silent battle. Too much pressure, too little space. All it takes is one small clot, one blocked artery. And in seconds, everything you know can be stripped away. Your memories, your speech, your independence. I will never forget Mr. Thompson. He was an 80-year-old widower from Michigan. After his wife passed, he began relying on canned meals for convenience. Green beans, canned soups, and vegetables were his comfort food. They are vegetables, he told me. They cannot hurt me. But over time, his blood pressure crept higher, sometimes 180. He felt fine, maybe a little tired. Until one morning, his daughter found him in the kitchen, staring blankly. He was unable to speak. The scan showed a moderate ischemic stroke. His arteries were thickened and strained. His sodium levels were sky high. The culprit was not a fast food diet. It was the healthy canned food he thought was keeping him safe. For seniors, the danger of sodium is not just about blood pressure numbers. It is about blood consistency. When salt draws fluid into the bloodstream, it makes blood denser, heavier, more prone to clotting. When that thick blood moves through narrow aging arteries, it slows down. It sticks to vessel walls, and in some cases, it clumps together. That is the perfect recipe for stroke, a slow, invisible build-up followed by a sudden catastrophe. And yet many older adults continue eating canned vegetables every day. They are unaware that each bite adds another pinch of pressure to their arteries. You might feel fine today, but the damage is cumulative. The stiffness builds gradually, until the day your circulation cannot handle one more surge. If you love vegetables, there is a safer way. Choose low sodium or no salt added options whenever possible. Drain and rinse canned foods before eating. It can reduce the sodium content by nearly half. Better yet, stock your freezer with unsalted frozen vegetables. They last just as long, and they do not carry the same silent risks. Most importantly, if you have high blood pressure, heart disease, or are taking blood pressure medications, monitor your sodium intake daily. For seniors, even a single can of salted vegetables can push your body into dangerous territory without you realizing it. Remember, your brain depends on smooth, steady circulation, not the roller coaster ride that high sodium creates. Thick blood, stressed arteries, unstable pressure. These are the perfect storm for clots that form quietly and strike suddenly. Because in the end, stroke does not just happen because of one bad habit. It happens because of the small repeated choices we make every day, the kind that feel harmless, like opening a can of vegetables. And if you think salt is the only hidden danger on your dinner plate, wait until you hear about the next one. It is a comfort food so familiar that it sits at nearly every American table. Yet it can spike your blood sugar faster than candy, and it can silently set off the chain reaction that turns sticky blood into a ticking time bomb inside your brain. 6. Potato sugar in disguise. Few foods feel more American than the humble potato. Mashed with butter at Thanksgiving, baked with sour cream on Sunday, or fried crisp and golden at the diner down the street. It is comfort, tradition, and home on a plate. But for millions of older adults, this familiar favorite has quietly become one of the most dangerous vegetables on their tables. I say this after years of studying stroke patterns in older adults. Beneath its wholesome image, the potato is a sugar bomb in disguise. And it can silently trigger strokes and form blood clots in aging bodies that can no longer process sugar the way they once did. The truth is, potatoes are starch, pure concentrated starch. They quickly convert into glucose the moment you chew. One medium-baked potato can raise your blood sugar faster than a can of soda. It is what nutritionists call a high glycemic load. For younger people with fast metabolisms, insulin surges quickly and clears that sugar from the bloodstream. But once you are past 60, your pancreas does not respond as sharply. Your insulin sensitivity drops and your blood sugar lingers longer. That lingering sugar is what quietly starts the chain reaction toward vascular damage. When your blood sugar spikes, the excess glucose sticks to proteins in your blood and vessel walls. This is a process called glycation. Over time, this thickens and inflames your arteries. The lining of your blood vessels, the delicate endothelium, becomes irritated. It develops microscopic cracks. The body, always trying to heal itself, sends platelets and clotting factors to patch those tiny injuries. But as it does, it forms blood clots that can obstruct blood flow, especially in the brain's narrow vessels. It happens slowly, silently, without pain, until one day the clot grows just large enough to stop the blood completely. That is when everything changes in an instant. I will never forget Mrs. Linda Morris. She was a 70-year-old grandmother from Ohio. She believed she was eating healthy. Every evening she baked a potato with her dinner, never fried, always plain. It is just a vegetable, she would say, but her blood sugar readings told a different story. They were spiking sharply after every meal. Then one afternoon, while reading to her granddaughter Linda, suddenly dropped her book and slumped in her chair. She could not speak. She could not move her right side. A CT scan confirmed an ischemic stroke, a clot in her left middle cerebral artery. Her blood work showed high levels of inflammatory markers and blood thickening. These were the byproducts of chronic sugar surges from years of healthy potato meals. It is heartbreaking because she did everything right. No junk food, no sweets, just comfort food that turned out to be deceiving her. And that is the reality for so many seniors. The aging brain cannot handle the same metabolic shocks it once could. Every spike in sugar thickens the blood a little more. It stiffens the arteries a little further, and it feeds the inflammatory cycle that makes clots more likely to form. Even mild insulin resistance, common after age 60, turns every large serving of potatoes into a biochemical roller coaster your body cannot safely ride. So if you love potatoes, be smart. Do not eat them alone or in large portions. Pair them with protein, fiber, or healthy fat. Chicken, beans, or olive oil. These can slow sugar absorption. Avoid instant mashed potatoes, French fries, and baked potatoes eaten without balance. Try smaller servings, or switch to sweet potatoes which release sugar more gradually. And remember, just because it is a vegetable does not mean it is harmless, because when your blood sugar surges, your blood thickens, and when it thickens, it clots. Those clots do not always announce themselves. They wait in silence. They build slowly in the vessels that feed your heart and brain, until one day they strike. And if you think sugar is the only hidden danger on your plate, wait until you hear about the next food. One that seems light, tangy, and refreshing, yet its acid and salt combination can quietly damage your arteries, strain your heart, and set the stage for the most unpredictable type of stroke. 7. Pickles and fermented vegetables, acid and salt double trouble. There is something comforting about the sharp crunch of a pickle. For many older Americans, it is a taste that brings back memories. Family cookouts, summer lunches, a cold spear beside a sandwich. It feels refreshing, even cleansing. And with all the new talk about probiotics and gut health, it is easy to believe that pickles, sauerkraut, or kimchi are some of the healthiest foods you can eat. But here is the truth I have learned after years of studying stroke patterns in older adults. For seniors, especially those managing blood pressure or circulation problems, that simple pickle can quietly set off a dangerous chain reaction, one that triggers strokes and forms blood clots in the most vulnerable organ you have, your brain. The danger is not in one bite. It is in what happens over time, especially when salt and acid meet the aging body. Pickles and fermented vegetables are loaded with sodium, often 800 milligrams or more per serving, more than a third of the daily limit in a single small portion. Salt at that level pulls water into your bloodstream. It thickens the blood, and it forces your heart to push harder with every beat. In younger adults, blood vessels can expand and flex to handle the pressure, but in your 60s, 70s and beyond, your arteries have grown stiffer. Their inner linings are thinner, more fragile. Every surge in pressure stretches and irritates them, like an old hose straining under too much water. Over time, those tiny irritations become microscopic injuries. The body tries to heal them. It sends platelets and fibrin to form protective patches. But instead of healing, these patches become sticky, uneven surfaces where clots begin to form. It is slow, silent, and deadly. You will not feel it happening, but each salty meal is like adding one more layer to a hidden time bomb. Then one night, a clot finally breaks loose. It travels upward. It blocks a vessel in your brain. In seconds, speech slurs, balance vanishes, or vision fades. These are the classic signs of a stroke, and that is just half the problem. The acid in pickles and fermented foods can also cause subtle but dangerous issues at night. That tangy flavor you love comes from vinegar or lactic acid. These can irritate the stomach and trigger silent reflux. This is a condition many seniors do not feel because the burning sensation fades with age. But reflux does not stop at your stomach. Tiny amounts of acid can travel up into your esophagus, even into your airways as you sleep. This irritates your vagus nerve, the same nerve that helps control heart rate and blood pressure. For some older adults, that irritation can cause overnight dips and spikes in blood pressure, unpredictable swings that stress the brain's delicate vessels. I remember Mr. and Mrs. Carroll, a couple in their late 70s from Pennsylvania. Every evening they would share a small snack before bed, a few pickles, a handful of pretzels, and a glass of water. It was their quiet ritual. One morning, Mrs. Carroll woke up dizzy and nauseous. Her husband was pale and slumped beside her, weak, disoriented. At the hospital, both showed signs of dehydration, severe sodium imbalance, and elevated blood pressure. Mr. Carroll had suffered a mild ischemic stroke during the night. The combination of sodium-induced thickened blood and nocturnal pressure spikes had been too much for his aging arteries. That is the cruel truth about foods like these. They do not kill you in a day, but they wear your system down one small imbalance at a time. The sodium draws water out of your cells, the acid irritates your nerves, and the night brings slower circulation. The perfect conditions for a stroke to strike when you least expect it. If you love fermented foods, I am not telling you to give them up completely, but be cautious. Choose low-sodium versions, eat small portions earlier in the day, and drink plenty of water throughout the day. Never make them a nightly ritual. Your heart and brain depend on stability, not extremes. Because when your blood thickens and your vessels strain, even a single pickle can be the last push your body cannot handle. Final reflection. And if you think the danger ends here, think again. Because what is truly terrifying is not any one vegetable on your plate. It is how all of them together can silently conspire against your brain. By now, you have probably realized that aging changes everything. Not just how you look or feel, but how your body handles even the simplest foods. The vegetables you once believed were pure and harmless can, under the wrong circumstances, become quiet saboteurs of your health. The truth is painful, but it is also powerful. Once you understand how your body has changed, you can finally protect it. After 60, your blood vessels are no longer flexible rivers of life. They are fragile pathways that demand care and balance. Your kidneys no longer filter with the same precision. Your liver processes medications more slowly. And your brain depends on a delicate rhythm of oxygen and circulation to stay alive. Every bite you take, every sip you drink either supports that rhythm or disrupts it. It is not about fear, it is about awareness, because when blood thickens from dehydration, too much sodium, or sharp swings in sugar, it does not flow as it should. It slows, it sticks, it clots. And once those clots form, all it takes is a moment, one small blockage, one heartbeat. Everything you love can change. Your speech, your memory, your independence. Gone in seconds. But here is the truth that matters. You do not have to give up the foods you love. You simply have to meet them where your body is today, not where it was 40 years ago. Eat vegetables in balance, not in extremes. Keep your hydration steady. Keep your salt low. Keep your sugar in check. Cook your greens lightly. Avoid late-night risky snacks. And always talk to your doctor about what is on your plate, because your food and your medicine are having a conversation inside you, whether you realize it or not. At this age, health is no longer about trends. It is about wisdom. Know your body, listen to it, respect the changes time has brought, because your brain is listening to every bite, every sip, every choice. Feed it with care, feed it with understanding, and most of all, feed it for the future you still deserve. Clear-minded, strong, and present for every precious moment that remains. Tonight, do not change everything on your plate. Change the way you look at one food. Before you eat that healthy vegetable again, ask yourself, is it right for my age, my medicine, and my body? If this video helped you think differently, type "I choose awareness" in the comments. Like this video, share it with someone over 60, and subscribe to Senior Meal Coach, because protecting your brain can begin with one smarter bite.